Hello everyone, Thank you for letting me share this story with you. My name is Roger Fernandes. I'm a member of the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe by Port Angeles, and I'm a storyteller and an artist. And I'm going to share a story with you today. Um, I don't tell the title of the story first, I tell at the end. I don't know why, I'm just more comfortable that way. So anyway, it goes like this. A long time ago, the animals, they got together and they were talking to each other. They were warning each other about a monster. They all were saying, hey, everyone listen, there's a monster that lives on the beach. And when the tide goes out, that monster wanders the beach looking for food. And if you're on the beach when the tide is out, that monster could grab you and eat you for its dinner. So everybody stay away from the beach when the tide is out. And all the animals agreed. Nobody wanted to be monster food, and so they all agreed to stay away from the beach when the tide was out. But there was that bird Crow. You know Crow, that black bird, really smart, really talkative? Well, Crow heard the animals talking and said, what are you guys talking about? There's no monster down at the beach. I know, I've been down there many times. I've never seen a monster. You guys don't know what you're talking about. They said, oh no, Crow, there's a monster that lives on the beach, and we're all staying away from the beach when the tide is out. We don't want that monster to eat us. Crow said, there's no monster. It's not going to eat you. What are you guys talking about? You should listen to me. I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than all of you. There's no monster down at the beach. The animal said, yes, there is, Crow. There's a monster down there. Crow said, you know what? The tide is going out right now. I'll go down to the beach and I'll prove to you there's no monster down there. And Crow put out his wings and started to fly, flying toward the beach. And the animals were yelling, no, Crow, no, don't do it. Don't go to the beach. But he didn't listen. He flew all the way down to the beach. The tide was out. He was walking around along the beach yelling, monster, where are you? Monster, show me who you are. I want to see who you are, monster. But there was no movement, no sound, and Crow said, I knew it. There's no monster down here. Monster, show me who you are. Come out and fight. I'll fight with you, monster. Where are you? But there was no movement, no sound, and Crow said, those animals, they're so silly. They should listen to me. There's no monster down here. Just then he saw a little tide pool. The water left behind when the tide goes out, a little pool of water. Well, something was moving in the tide pool. And Crow into that little tide pool, he looked, and he looked, and he looked, and coming out of that tide pool was a big head with two eyes looking right at Crow. It was Octopus Woman. Octopus Woman, her two eyes looking right at Crow, and his arms, 8 arms are flopping around. She said, Crow, I finally get to meet you. I've heard all about you. You're really famous, you know, and everybody talks about you, but I thought I'd never meet you, but here you are right in front of me. I can't believe how lucky I am. Crow said, yeah, I am kind of a big deal around here. Everybody knows who I am. She said, but nobody ever told me what big, powerful legs you have. Your legs are so muscular and strong. You must run faster than anyone on those legs. He said, yeah, I can run even faster than deer on these bad boys. She said, huh, may I touch your legs with one of my octopus arms to see how big and powerful they really are? He said, go ahead. So she wrapped one of her octopus arms around his legs and pulled tight. She said, Crow, your tail feathers so shiny and clean. How do you keep them so shiny and clean like that? He said, well, I wash and I brush them every day. She said, may I touch your tail feathers with one of my octopus arms to see how you keep them so shiny and clean? He said, go ahead. So she wrapped another arm around his tail feathers and pulled tight. Crow said, hey, wait a minute. The tide is coming back. The water's coming back, and I don't want to get all wet. You better let me go. I don't want to get all wet. She said, Crow, don't worry about the tide. Don't worry about the water. You know, I was going to have dinner real soon, and I want you to be here. He said, really? You want me to be here for dinner? What are you having for dinner? She said, it's a surprise, Crow, a big surprise. He said, I love surprises. Okay, I'll stay. She said, Crow, that belt you're wearing around your waist, it's so interesting. Where'd you get that? He said, well, my friend Bear made it out of like different kinds of wood and leather and things. She said, wow, can I touch that belt with one of my arms to see how Bear made you that belt? And he said, go ahead. She wrapped another arm around his waist and pulled tight. She said, Crow, your wings are so big and powerful. I've never seen such strong, powerful wings before. Do you mind if I touch them with what? He said, Go ahead, I guess. So she wrapped another arm around his wings and pulled tight. She said, Crow, that necklace you're wearing around your neck, it's so shiny. Where did you get that necklace? He said, well, Eagle made it out of different kinds of shells and stuff, and so let me guess, you want to touch it too? She said, may I please? He said, go ahead. So she wrapped another arm around his neck and pulled tight. He said, ah, that's too tight, I can't breathe. So she loosened her grip, but she didn't let go. She said, Crow, your shoulders are so big and powerful and strong. How did you get such big, powerful shoulders? He said, well, I go to the gym 3 times a week. She said, may I? He said, go ahead. She wrapped another arm around his shoulders and pulled tight. Crow said, wait a minute, I'm getting all wet, my feet, my legs, I'm getting all wet, you gotta let me go. She said, Crow, don't worry about the tide, don't worry about the water. Remember, dinner, real soon, you gotta be here. He said, all right. She said, Crow, the feathers on the top of your head, they stick straight up, how do you do that? He said, well, I use a little gel every morning. She said, may I? He said, go ahead. She wrapped another octopus arm around his head and pulled tight. She said, Crow, your black beak is so shiny and big and beautiful and powerful. You must sing better than all the other birds with that beautiful black beak. He said, yes, I do, and go ahead. So she wrapped her last, number 8 octopus arm around his beak and pulled tight. So if you looked down to the beach that day, you would see an octopus with his arms wrapped around something. And between some of the octopus arms, you see the little tip of a black beak, and it was squawking. Hey, 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 the water's back, the tide is back, I'm all wet, it's up to my neck now, you gotta let me go. She said, Crow, don't worry about the water, don't worry about the tide. You keep saying that, you say you're gonna have dinner real soon. When are you having dinner? She said, oh, I'm gonna have dinner right now, Crow. And you said you're having a big surprise. Well, what's the surprise? What are you having for dinner? She said, you are my dinner, Crow. And she dragged him under the water, and he was never seen again. Poor Crow. And that is all the story called Octopus and Crow. Thank you very much for letting me share that story. And now you need to reflect upon it. I did my job. I told you the story. Now you have to figure out, what did that story teach me? What is it about? So thank you very much.